Welcome. Your only task is to be here, now, and to allow your body to grow heavy. Take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, feel your shoulders drop. Feel the tension in your jaw release. Feel the muscles around your eyes soften. You are safe here. We are going to drift back, carried on the gentle current of time, to a place of quiet solitude and simple grounding work. Let your mind become a vessel, empty and waiting, as we journey back and back and back. Back past the hum of electricity, past the rush of engines, back to a time of candlelight and cobblestones, of wood smoke and wool. We are travelling to the year 1780, but we are not in the grand salons or the bustling marketplaces. We are arriving in the deepest, quietest hour of the night. It is 3 a.m. All around you, the city is a creature of shadow and stone, its tall, leaning houses packed tightly together, their windows like closed, sleeping eyes. There is no moonlight, only a thick blanket of low-hanging clouds that swallows the stars and muffles every sound. The silence is immense, broken only by the distant, mournful chime of a forgotten church bell, its single note absorbed by the damp air, almost as soon as the world is asleep, locked away behind heavy wooden doors, wrapped in thick blankets against the encroaching cold. But you are not cold. Not anymore, because you are standing at the threshold of the only point of light and life on the entire street. You have just stepped into a small corner bakery, and the change is immediate. A physical sensation that washes over you like a warm tide. The raw, biting chill of the street is instantly replaced by a deep, enveloping warmth that seeps into your very... It is a dry, ancient heat radiating from a massive brick oven that dominates the far wall of the small workshop. You can feel the warmth on your cheeks, on the backs of your hands, a comforting presence that unknots the tension in your shoulders and allows you to breathe more deeply, more slowly. You close the heavy wooden door behind you, and the sound it makes is not a sharp click, but a deep, satisfying thud, the sound of thick, aged timber settling into its frame. With that sound, the last connection to the cold, sleeping city is severed. You are now in a world of your own, a sanctuary of warmth and soft. The only light comes from the oven itself, its open mouth glowing with a pulsing amber heart, and from a few tallow candles placed in niches along the plastered walls. Their flames dance and sway in the gentle currents of air, casting long, soft-edged shadows that move like slow, sleeping giants across the floor and up the walls, which are dusted with a fine, pale layer of flour that has settled over years of tireless work. The air itself is thick, not with smoke, but with the most reassuring scents imaginable. There is the foundational aroma of the fire, a clean, woody smell of dry oak burning steadily and completely. Woven through that is the complex, living scent of yeast, a tangy, slightly sweet perfume that speaks of patience and slow transformation. And beneath it all, a faint ghost of a note, the delicate, caramelized sweetness of sugar and flour that has kissed the hot bricks of the oven from yesterday's bake. You take another slow, deep breath, and this air feels like nourishment, a comforting balm that settles your mind and prepares you for the quiet, rhythmic work ahead. Your eyes, now fully adjusted to the dim, warm light, begin to take in the details of your small domain. This is not a shop for customers. It is a workshop, a place of pure creation. The floor is made of large, uneven flagstones, worn smooth in pathways between the door, the kneading table, and the oven. The ceiling is low, with heavy, dark wooden beams that seem to absorb the light, making the space feel even more intimate, more enclosed. Everything here is solid, functional, and bears the marks of time and use. You are wearing a simple, heavy apron of undyed linen, tied securely around your waist. It is already dusted with a fine constellation of white flour, a testament to the night's work already begun. You move towards the center of the room. It is a single thick slab of wood, its surface scarred and softened by countless years of chopping, scraping, and kneading. It feels like a living thing, an old and trusted partner in your craft. On its surface, everything is in its place. A neat pile of flour, like a soft miniature snowdrift, sits to one side. A small earthenware bowl of water is nearby, its surface reflecting the flickering candlelight like a bench scraper, its wooden handle worn to a perfect smooth fit for your hand, lies waiting. But your attention is drawn to the main event, the reason you are here in this warm, quiet space, while the rest of the world sleeps. In the center of the bench sits an enormous mound of dough. It is not the pristine, uniform mixture of it has been fermenting for hours, and you can see the slow, steady life within it. Its surface is soft and pillowy, and as you watch, you can almost perceive the microscopic network of gluten and yeast expanding, creating a delicate, airy architecture within the heavy mass. It has reached the perfect stage of its first rise, and it is time for you to begin your part of the dance. You dust your hands in the pile of flour, the fine powder cool and silky against your skin. You rub them together, the soft, whispery sound a quiet prelude to the work to come. Then, you reach forward and plunge your hands into the dough. The sensation is immediate and deeply satisfying. The dough is cool to the touch, but not cold. It yields to the pressure of your hands, but with a gentle, resilient springiness. You curl your fingers, gathering the mass, feeling its substantial weight, a comforting anchor in the quiet room. And now, the rhythm begins. You push the dough away from you, using the heels of your palms to stretch and lengthen the gluten strands. The motion is your shoulders and back are engaged, but there is no strain, only a steady, practiced application of force. As you push, the dough sighs, a soft, breathy sound of air being gently pressed from its delicate structure. Then you fold it back over on itself, turn it a quarter of a turn, and push again. Push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. Our simple, timeless rhythm that has been practiced by bakers in this very spot, at this very hour, for generations. It is a wet, sticky sound, a gentle thwack, fey and fey squelch. Fey as you press and fold a living mass. It is not loud or jarring, but a muted, organic sound that becomes a kind of mantra, a physical meditation. With each fold, you can feel the dough changing under your hands. It becomes smoother, more elastic, its initial stickiness transforming into a taut, silken surface. It is a conversation you are having with the dough, a dialogue of pressure and release, of yielding and resistance. Your breathing naturally synchronizes with the movement. A slow inhale as you prepare, a long, steady exhale as you push the weight of your body into the workbench. The world outside, the cold, the darkness, the sleeping city, all of it ceases to exist. There is only you, the warm, glowing room, the solid bench beneath your hands, and this living, transforming dough. The simple, tactile reality of the dough under your palms crowds out all other thoughts. You are not thinking about tomorrow or yesterday. You are simply present, your entire awareness focused on this single, essential task. You notice the way the candlelight catches the fine, airborne particles of flour, making them glitter for a moment, like tiny, fleeting stars. You notice the way the warmth from the oven feels on your back, a constant, reassuring pressure. You feel the muscles in your arms and shoulders working. A pleasant, warming sensation of effort without strain. Your eyelids begin to feel a little heavier, not from sleepiness, but from a deep, profound sense of calm that is settling over you. After what feels like both a lifetime and no time at all. You know the dough is ready. It is a knowledge that comes not from a clock, but from your hands. The dough now has a life of its own. When you press a finger into its surface, the indentation slowly, gracefully springs back. It holds its shape, a proud, smooth dome on the floured board. Your work of developing its strength is done. Now, it needs to rest, to gather its energy for the final transformation in the fire. You use your bench scraper, the metal edge making a soft, satisfying fishing face sound against the wood, to divide the large mass into smaller, more manageable portions. Each portion will become a long, slender loaf, a baguette. You handle them gently, coaxing them into rough oblong shapes. Your touch, now much lighter than before. You are no longer building strength, but preserving the delicate network of air you have so carefully cultivated. You lay them side by side on a linen cloth that has been heavily dusted with flour, folding the cloth up between each one to create a series of soft, protective walls. They look like sleeping forms, nestled together in a warm bed. And you cover them with another layer of cloth, a final blanket to protect them from the air as they take their final proof. Now, there is a pause, a moment of stillness in the rhythmic flow of the night. You scrape the residual dough from the workbench, the sound crisp and clean. You wipe the surface down with a damp cloth, the cool water evaporating almost instantly in the ambient heat. You wash your hands in a basin of warm water, the feeling of the sticky dough rinsing away, leaving your skin, feeling clean and soft. You dry them on your apron, and for a moment, you simply stand. You stand in the center of your warm, quiet world, and you listen. The main sound is the fire. It is not a crackling, spitting fire, but a deep, mature blaze. It makes a low, continuous humming or roaring sound, like a distant waterfall or a sleeping dragon's breath. It is the heartbeat of the room, a constant, steady presence that is both powerful and profoundly peaceful. Every so often, a log settles, sending a soft cascade of embers down into the glowing bed of coals, a brief flurry of orange sparks that dance and die in an instant. The silence that follows seems even deeper, more complete. You turn your gaze to the oven. It is a place of immense power, a gateway to a world of transformative heat. You feel a deep respect for it, a partnership. It provides the heat. You provide the bread together. You will feed the city when it wakes. Your shoulders, which you didn't even realize were tense, drop another inch. There are no politics here, no gossip, no anxieties of the court or the marketplace. There is only flour, water, salt, and fire. It is a truth you can feel in your hands, in your tired muscles, in the very air you breathe. The loaves are resting, gathering their final strength. The oven is reaching its perfect, shimmering temperature. And you are in a state of quiet grace. You lean back against the wall, the old plaster cool, even through your shirt, and you close your eyes for a moment. Behind your eyelids, you can still see the gentle, pulsing glow of the fire. You can feel the warmth on your face. You can smell the sweet, yeasty air. And in this perfect cocoon of sensation, you feel your body letting go completely, sinking into a state of deep, dreamless relaxation. The night is still young, and the most magical part of your work is yet to come. But for now, there is only this. The time for the final proof has passed in a comfortable, timeless stillness. You move back to the bench where your loaves have been resting, nestled in their beds of flowered linen. The long, slender forms have swelled, becoming plump and full of air. Their surface is smooth and taut like the skin of a drum. They are full of potential energy, delicate and yet powerful, ready for the violent heat of the oven. This is the lame fay, the baker's blade, used for scoring the loaves just before they are baked. This is the baker's signature. You gently slide one of the loaves from its linen cradle onto a long, flat wooden paddle. The fay peel faither loaf settles onto the peel with a soft, flowery sigh. Now, with the blade in hand, you hold your breath for a moment. The movement must be quick, confident, and exact. Too deep, and the loaf will deflate. Too shallow, and it will not expand properly in the oven, its crust bursting in unpredictable, ragged seams. You draw the blade across the surface of the dough, a series of 3, 4, 5 swift, diagonal slashes. The blade is so sharp that it meets almost no resistance. The pale skin of the dough parts instantly, revealing the creamy, web-like interior beneath. For a fleeting second. It is a moment of controlled violence that is, in its own way, an act of creation, giving the bread the freedom it needs to achieve its full glory. You repeat the process with the other loaves, each one a small, identical ritual. The swift, silent slash of the blade, the parting of the dough, the quiet satisfaction of a mark well made. Your movements are fluid, economical, honed by thousands of nights, just like this one. There is no wasted energy, no hesitation. The washes over you is immense, a solid wall of energy that makes the air in your lungs feel thick and hot. It prickles the skin on your face and forearms. You hold the long wooden peel with its scored and waiting loaf, and you aim for the deep, glowing heart of the oven. With a practiced forward jerk of your arms, you slide the loaf from the peel onto the hot stone floor of the oven. It lands with a barely audible fay-thump fay, instantly surrounded by the shimmering, radiant heat. You work quickly, loading the other loaves one by one, arranging them in neat rows on the hot bricks. The final act before sealing them in is to create steam. You take a small ladle of water and cast it onto the hot floor of the oven, near the loaves, but not on them. The water vaporizes instantly with a loud, dramatic fay hiss, a sudden explosion of white steam that billows out of the oven's mouth in a fragrant cloud. This steam is crucial. It will keep the surface of the loaves moist for the first few minutes of baking, allowing them to expand to their fullest potential. The fay oven spring fay before, the crust begins to form and harden. Then, with all the loaves nestled inside and the steam created, you reach for the oven door, you swing it shut, and it closes with a deep, resonant fay-clang fay, a sound of finality that echoes in the sudden silence. The glorious, pulsing light from the oven is gone, sealed away behind the iron door. The room is instantly darker, lit now only by the few soft, flickering candles. The direct, intense heat from the oven's mouth is also gone, replaced once again by the deep, ambient warmth that permeates the entire space. And in that moment, as the sound of the iron door fades, a profound feeling washes over you. The prompt describes it as fatigue and tranquility, and that is exactly it. A wave of deep bone-weary exhaustion from the physical work and the strange upside-down hours. But it is an exhaustion that is beautifully, perfectly paired with an immense sense of peace. The work is done. The dough has been mixed, fermented, kneaded, shaped, proofed, scored, and is now in the hands of the fire. For the next 20 minutes, there is absolutely nothing for you to do. Your part in the creation is over. Now you can only wait and trust in the fire, in the yeast, in the process. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. It feels as if a great weight has been lifted from your shoulders. You lean your peel against the wall and turn away from the now darkened oven. It is a smell unlike any other, a magical transformation of the tangy, yeasty aroma into something warm, nutty, and profoundly comforting. It is the smell of home, of sustenance, of civilization itself. Your body craves rest. Your legs ache with a dull, pleasant throb. Your arms feel heavy and satisfied. You rest your forearms on your knees and let your head hang forward, the muscles in your neck finally letting go. Your eyes close. Here, in the dim, warm silence, your senses are heightened. You are no longer an actor, but a pure observer. You listen to the low, muffled roar of the fire, now contained behind the iron door. It is a deeper, more distant sound, the sound of a caged power doing its transformative work. You can hear the soft, almost imperceptible hiss and whisper of the candles as their wicks consume the warm tallow. You can hear the ancient groans and sighs of the building as it settles in the cold night. Sounds that are as familiar and comforting as your own breathing. Your breathing has become very slow. Inhale the warm, baking air. Exhale the last remnants of tension. Your mind is a calm, still pool. The surface is placid, reflecting only the soft, warm darkness behind your closed eyelids. There are no thoughts, only sensations. The feeling of the rough wood of the stool beneath you. The feeling of the heavy linen of your apron on your lap. The feeling of the gentle, radiant warmth that envelops you like a blanket. A deep sense of security pervades everything. Here, there is no danger, no conflict, no demands. Your entire being sinks into it, grateful and at peace. The day has not yet begun, but your work is almost done, and in this liminal space, this moment between moments, you find a rest that is deeper and more restorative than many hours of sleep. Let the noise and the hurry of your day recede, like a tide pulling back from the shore, leaving only a vast expanse of quiet and calm. There is nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to hold on to. Your only duty now is to your own rest. Take a slow, deep breath in, filling your lungs with the stillness of this moment, and as you exhale, feel a wave of release flow down through your body. Feel your shoulders gently drop. Feel the small muscles around your eyes soften and smooth. Feel the weight of your body as it is held, completely and securely, by the surface beneath you. You are entering a space of absolute safety, a haven created just for you tonight. Our journey takes us back through the quiet corridors of time. We are not rushing. We are drifting, carried on a soft and gentle current. We are leaving behind the world of bright screens and instant messages, and we are traveling back and back and back to a time of stone and wood, of firelight and shadow. We are going to Paris. The season is late autumn, the air holding the first true promise of winter's deep chill, and the hour is the most secret and silent of all. 3 in the morning, you find yourself emerging not into a grand ballroom or a sunlit garden, but onto a narrow, cobbled street, shrouded in the deepest black of a moonless night. The air is sharp and damp, biting at any exposed skin, a cold that feels ancient and pervasive. The tall, timber-framed houses on either side of the lane lean in towards each other, as if sharing secrets in their sleep. The entire city is submerged in a profound slumber, a world of stone and silence, wrapped in a thick blanket of low, heavy clouds that smothers both starlight and sound. The only noise is the faint, ghostly echo of your own quiet footsteps on the slick, uneven stones. But then you see it, just ahead. At the corner where another dark lane intersects, there is a soft, gentle glow. It spills out from a single window and from the seam beneath a heavy wooden door, a warm, golden light that seems to push back against the oppressive darkness. As you draw closer, you begin to feel it. A faint, almost imperceptible warmth radiating outwards. A stark contrast to the biting cold. You push open the heavy oak door, and as you step across the threshold, the world transforms. The raw, damp chill of the Parisian night is instantly vanquished, replaced by a deep, penetrating warmth that soaks into your clothes, into your skin, into your very bones. It is a dry, profound heat, a living warmth that radiates from a massive, hulking brick oven that occupies the far wall of the workshop. You feel the tension you were holding against the cold immediately dissolve. Your shoulders relax, your jaw unclenches, and you can breathe again slowly and deeply. You pull the door closed behind you, and it shuts with a solid, reassuring fey-hump-fey. The sound of thick wood settling into its frame, sealing you off completely from the cold and the dark outside. You are now inside a cocoon of warmth and light and peace. The mouth of the great oven is open, revealing a heart of incandescent embers that pulse with a soft, rhythmic orange glow. This living light paints the room in hues of amber and gold, casting long, gentle shadows that dance and sway in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. The low, arched ceiling with its heavy, dark wooden beams seems to catch the shadows, making the space feel enclosed, protected, like a cave of warmth dug into the heart of the cold city. The very air is thick and comforting, heavy with the most wonderful, reassuring aromas. There is the clean, smoky scent of dry hardwood burning steadily. A smell of pure energy. Woven into this is the tangy, sweet, and living perfume of fermenting dough. The smell of yeast patiently at work. And lingering from the previous day's bake is a faint, ghostly sweetness. A hint of caramel and toasted grain that has become part of the very walls. You take a slow, deliberate breath, and the air itself feels like a warm, nourishing meal. You are dressed for your work in a heavy linen apron, its surface already bearing a soft white patina of flour. You move toward the center of the room, to your altar, a massive waist-high workbench made from a single thick slab of timber. Its surface is not polished or perfect. It is a landscape of its own, worn smooth in places from countless hours of kneading, and bearing the faint scars and scratches of decades of dedicated work. It feels solid and eternal under your hands, a trusted partner in this nightly ritual. On the board, a simple earthenware bowl holds cool water, its surface a dark, still mirror reflecting the oven's gentle light. But your focus, your purpose, is the great mound of dough that rests in the center of the bench. It is a living, breathing entity, the result of hours. It has risen beautifully. As you watch, you can almost feel the quiet energy within it, the invisible, intricate web of gluten and gas that has been slowly, magically forming in the warmth of the room. It has a presence, a weight, a life of its own, and it is ready for you. You dip your hands into the pile of flour, rubbing them together. The powder is cool and smooth against your skin. Then, with a feeling of deep satisfaction, you plunge both hands into the waiting dough. The sensation is sublime. The dough gives way to your hands with a yielding softness, yet you can feel a resilient, living quality within it. It is cool to the touch, and its texture is impossibly smooth, like sinking your fingers into a dense, tangible cloud. You gather the mass together, feeling its heft, its comforting weight. It is an anchor, grounding you completely in this moment, in this room. And so begins the ancient, meditative rhythm of kneading. You push the dough away from you, using the strong heels of your palms to press and stretch it across the wooden board. The movement is not rushed, it is slow, deliberate, and powerful, originating from your core. As you push, the dough exhales with a soft, breathy sigh, releasing some of the air held within its delicate structure. You then fold the stretched dough back over onto itself, give it a quarter turn, and push again. Push, fold, turn, push, fold. The rhythm is as steady and as natural as your own heartbeat. It is a timeless cadence, a dance that has been performed by countless bakers before you. Perhaps even at this very workbench, the only sounds in the room are the sounds of your work, and they are deeply soothing. There is the low, constant hum of the fire in the oven, a deep, resonant bass note, and layered over, this is the soft, wet, percussive sound of the dough, a gentle thwack fey, and a satisfying, sticky squelch fey as you press, and fold, and turn. These sounds are not jarring. They are organic and muted, and they become a kind of mantra, lulling your mind into a state of profound calm. With each repetition, you can feel the dough transforming under your hands. It is becoming more elastic, more cohesive. The initial slight stickiness gives way to a surface that is taut, smooth, and silken to the touch. It is a conversation without words, a physical dialogue between your strength and the dough's potential. Your breathing naturally falls into sync. There is only this room, this warmth, this solid bench, and this living dough becoming stronger and more beautiful with every movement of your hands. Your mind, which may have carried lingering threads of worry or thought, begins to empty. The simple, repetitive, physical task is a powerful meditation. The tangible reality of the dough, its weight, its texture, its temperature, occupies your full attention, leaving no room for anxiety or distraction. You are not thinking about what you must do next or what you did yesterday. You are completely and utterly present. Your gaze softens, and you become aware of the small details of your environment. You notice the way the flickering candlelight catches the motes of flour floating in the warm air, making them sparkle for a moment like a galaxy of tiny, brief stars. You feel the constant, steady warmth of the oven on your back, a comforting, solid presence. You feel the pleasant work in your arms and shoulders, a feeling of effort that is grounding and satisfying, not strenuous. Your eyelids feel heavy, not with an urgent need for sleep, but with a deep and pervasive sense of peace that is settling over your entire being. After a period of time that you do not measure with a clock, you know that the dough is ready. This knowledge is not intellectual. It is tactile, a wisdom held in your fingertips and palms. The dough is now a perfect creation. It is firm and holds its shape, yet it is as soft and yielding as a pillow. When you press a finger gently into its surface, the indentation slowly and gracefully springs back, a sign of its perfect elasticity and life. The work of building its structure is complete. Now, it must rest and gather its final strength before the ordeal of the fire. You portion the dough into smaller, equal pieces, each one destined to become a long, elegant loaf, a baguette. Your touch now is much lighter, more gentle. You are no longer trying to develop the gluten, but to preserve the delicate, airy structure you have so carefully created. You gently coax each piece into a rough oblong shape, then lay them side by side on a large linen cloth that you have generously dusted with flour. You create little walls of cloth between each loaf by folding the linen up, so that they rest in their own individual troughs, like precious things nestled in a soft bed. Finally, you cover them all with the edge of the cloth, tucking them in under a final blanket to rest and proof one last time. And now, there is a pause. Ah, welcome. You take your scraper and clean the last remnants of sticky dough from the workbench, the sound sharp and final. You wipe the broad wooden surface with a damp cloth and watch as the cool water vanishes almost instantly into steam in the dry, warm air. You move to a simple stone basin in the corner and wash your hands. The feeling of the warm water rinsing away the last traces of dough is a small, satisfying pleasure, leaving your hands feeling clean and soft. You dry them on your flour, dusted apron, and for a moment you simply stand. You stand in the middle of your warm, golden lit world, and you just are. The dominant sound is the fire, a deep, steady roar from within the brick oven, like the sound of a distant, powerful waterfall. It is the heartbeat of the room, a constant source of both energy and peace. Every so often, a log inside shifts and settles, causing a brief, soft shower of embers. A fleeting cascade of brilliant orange sparks against the glowing red heart of the coals. The deep silence that follows this small event feels even more profound. Your breathing, already slow and rhythmic from the work, deepens even further. A feeling of immense, quiet contentment settles in your chest. This is a good and honest existence. This solitary labour in the deep heart of the night. Here, there are no complex social obligations, no anxiety. There is only the elemental truth of flour, water, salt, and fire. There is only the ancient, honourable work of making bread for a sleeping city. And you exist in a moment of perfect balance, a quiet interlude between effort and completion. You move to a small, three-legged wooden stool in the corner of the room, its seat worn smooth by generations of bakers seeking this same brief respite. You sink onto it, and your body releases a sigh of gratitude, a pleasant. You close your eyes. Behind your eyelids, the soft, pulsing glow of the oven remains, an afterimage of pure warmth. With your eyes closed, your other senses expand to fill the space. You listen to the muffled roar of the fire. Now you can distinguish the faint, soft hiss of the tallow candles as their flames steadily consume their fuel. You can hear the old building around you groaning and creaking softly as it settles in the night's deep cold. Sounds that are as familiar and reassuring as the sound of your own slow breathing. Inhale the warming, sweetening air, which now carries the first promise of baking bread. Exhale, and feel the last vestiges of tension leave your body. Your mind is a still, quiet lake at dusk. The surface is smooth, reflecting only the warm, soft darkness behind your closed eyes. There are no active thoughts, only a gentle awareness of sensation. The feeling of the worn, rough wood of the stool supporting you. The feeling of the heavy, soft linen of your apron resting on your lap. The feeling of the radiant heat that envelops you like a thick, woolen blanket. In this sealed chamber of warmth and solitude, you are completely and utterly safe. There is no danger here, no conflict, no demand on your attention. The only thing happening is the slow, silent miracle of transformation taking place inside the oven. An alchemy that asks nothing of you but your patience. This period of waiting is a gift, a small, perfect moment of stillness carved from the dead of night. Your entire being sinks into it, grateful for the reprieve, for the peace. The day is still hours away, but your work is nearly finished. And in this quiet, liminal space, you find a rest that is deeper and more profoundly restorative than sleep itself. You are simply here. Warm. The world for now can wait. The air outside is a shard of frozen glass, a deep and breathless cold that has settled over the sleeping city of Paris. It is the 3rd hour of the morning. The cobblestones of your narrow street are slick with a damp chill, reflecting the distant, indifferent light of a sliver of moon. But here, in your corner bakery, you are sealed away from that cold, from that darkness, from that sleeping world. You are in an ark of warmth and light, The only illumination on the entire street flows from your small, mullioned window, a soft, buttery glow that pools on the stones outside, a beacon of life in the deep stillness. This warmth, this life, emanates from the great brick heart of your workshop, the oven. You fed it hours ago with seasoned logs of oak and birch, and now they have collapsed into a bed of incandescent embers, a dragon's hoard of heat that radiates through the thick clay bricks and fills the small room with a dry, profound warmth. It is a heat that sinks into the stone walls, into the heavy wooden beams of the low ceiling, and most of all, into you. The low, continuous rumble of the fire is the only sound, a deep and steady hum that vibrates through the floorboards, a primal lullaby that underpins the quiet solitude of your work. The air itself is thick and comforting, heavy with the sweet, wholesome scent of living yeast, the clean perfume of milled flour, and a faint, ghostly whisper of caramel from yesterday's sweet buns, a memory of sugar still clinging to the warm air. You stand before your work table, a massive slab of solid wood, worn smooth and concave in the centre from a century of bakers before you. It is your altar, your canvas, your oldest and most trusted companion. An apron of heavy, undyed linen is tied around your waist, its surface a constellation of white handprints and soft dustings of flour, a map of your nightly labours, and your hands, your arms up to the elbows, are plunged deep into the very substance of your craft. They are lost within a mountain of dough, a cool, living, breathing creature that yields and resists in a slow, elastic rhythm. The dough is silken and pliant, a universe of softness that clings and releases with every movement. It is cooler than the air in the room, and the contrast is a pleasant shock, grounding you, pulling all of your awareness into this single tactile sensation. Your breathing has long since fallen into sync with the rhythm of your work. You push forward with the heels of your hands, leaning your weight into the motion, feeling the dough spread and stretch under the pressure. It gives a soft, sticky sigh, a sound like wet clay, a satisfying, cushioned resistance. Then you gather it, folding the stretched out portion back over the center, trapping air and life within its heart. You give the mass a quarter turn on the floured board, and the process begins again. Push, fold. The sound is a soft, wet, percussive beat in the quiet room, a gentle fey-thump fey as you push, a sticky fey-slap fey as you fold. Fey-thump, slap, thump. Slap, asterisk. The repetition is hypnotic, utterly absorbing. The world outside, with its politics and its people, its carriages and its concerns, ceases to exist. There is only the steady pressure of your hands, the gentle give of the dough, and the deep, resonant hum of the oven. Your shoulders, which may have been tight when you first awoke in the cold darkness, have long since dropped. The initial stickiness gives way to a smooth, supple elasticity. You are not merely mixing ingredients. You are building a structure, weaving a delicate web of gluten, giving the bread its strength, its very soul. They can feel the precise moment the dough is ready, when it has achieved that perfect balance of strength and softness, when it holds its shape with a gentle, yielding firmness. It pushes back against your palms now with a quiet life of its own, a sign that the yeast is active and happy, breathing slowly within its gluten cage. The surface is no longer ragged but smooth as worn marble, and as you lift it from the board, it stretches in a long, silken sheet before sighing back into a perfect, pillowy mound. You let it rest for a moment, covering it with a clean, damp cloth, allowing it to gather its strength. In this pause, you feel the warmth of the room settle over you like a heavy blanket. The fire in the oven roars softly, a contained and gentle power. You can see the flickering orange light of the embers dancing behind the small iron grate of the oven's feed door, casting long, slow-moving shadows across the stone floor. The shadows make the hanging copper pots and wooden peels on the wall seem to sway, as if they are breathing with the fire. You run your floured hands under a trickle of cool water from the basin in the corner. The sensation a brief, pleasant sting against your warm skin. As you dry them on your apron, adding another layer of white dust, you take a deep, slow breath. The air is so full of peace. It smells of potential, of nourishment, of the simple, honest goodness of flour and water and fire. Your eyelids feel heavy for a moment, and you allow them to close, just to feel the darkness and the warmth, to listen to the deep bass thrum of the burning wood. But the dough is waiting. It has risen, swelling gently against the cloth, and now it is time to shape it. You divide the large mass into smaller, more manageable pieces, the scraper making a satisfying feaching fey sound as it cuts cleanly through the soft dough. You take one piece and begin to form it into a long, familiar shape. Your touch is lighter now, more delicate. You are no longer building strength, but guiding the dough into its final form. You gently flatten it into a rectangle, your fingertips pressing small dimples into its surface, releasing some of the larger gas bubbles with a series of soft, airy sighs. Then you fold it tightly, rolling it into a long cylinder, your hands moving from the center outwards, tapering the ends into elegant points. The motion is fluid, practiced, almost unconscious. You are creating the iconic shape of the baguette, a form as familiar to your hands as the lines on your own palms. You lay the shaped loaf on a long piece of linen, dusted with flour, which you have folded into a series of troughs to create a couch for the bread, a soft bed where it will take its final rest and proof. You shape another and another, laying them side. The shaped loaves must rest again, to gather their strength for the final explosive expansion in the oven. You rest your elbows on your knees, your chin in your hands, and you simply exist. A deep sigh of contentment escapes your lips, a sound you were not even aware you were holding. Your entire body feels heavy and relaxed, the repetitive motion of kneading having worked all the tension from your muscles. The warmth from the brick oven soaks into your front, a deep penetrating heat. It eases the ache in your lower back, soothes the weariness in your legs. Through the small, square opening, the embers pulse with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. They glow, a fierce, liquid orange, then soften to a deep, ruby red, then brighten again, as if the fire itself is breathing. A log shifts, settling deeper into the bed of coals, sending a shower of brilliant, short-lived sparks upwards into the dark throat of the chimney. They look like fireflies, a fleeting, magical dance in the darkness. The sound of the fire is a constant, low rumble, the sound of the earth's own core. It is so steady, so deep, that it seems to merge with the silence, becoming a part of it. It is the perfect sound for sleep, a sound that promises safety and consistency, a sound that has no sharp edges, no surprises. It fills your ears, your head, your chest, until it feels like the beating of your own slow heart. As you sit there, watching the pulse of the embers, you become aware of the subtle shifts in the room's atmosphere. The initial yeasty scent of the raw dough is beginning to evolve. From the direction of the oven, where the first batch of the morning is already baking, a new aroma is beginning to unfurl. It is the most comforting smell in the world. It is the scent of baking bread. At first, it is just a whisper, a nutty, toasty fragrance that teases the edges of your awareness. But it grows, slowly, steadily, filling the workshop with a perfume that is both rich and clean. It is the smell of the crust, beginning to brown, the sugars in the flour, caramelizing under the... It is a smell that speaks of home, of sustenance, of a day beginning. It is a smell that promises that all is well. It weaves itself through the scent of wood smoke and old stone, creating a complex and deeply soothing perfume that you breathe in slowly, deeply, letting it fill your lungs, letting it calm your spirit. Time itself seems to slow down, to stretch and become as elastic as the dough you were just working. The minutes are not marked by the ticking of a clock. There is no clock in here, but by the slow transformation of the scent in the air, by the subtle deepening of the shadows as the fire settles. You are not thinking of the morning to come, of the customers who will line up in the cold, their breath pluming in the air, eager for a warm loaf. You are not thinking of anything beyond the confines of these four warm walls. Your mind is a quiet, still pool, and the sensory details of the room are like smooth stones dropped into it, creating slow, concentric ripples. The rough texture of the brickwork near the oven door, the way the firelight catches the edge of a copper measuring cup, making it gleam like a piece of treasure. The fine, almost invisible dust of flour that coats every surface, softening all the edges, making the entire room look as if it has been dusted with snow. Your eyelids are growing heavier now, the desire to close them almost irresistible. The warmth and the low, rumbling sound are a powerful soporific. Your head feels heavy on your hands. Your breathing is slow and even, each exhalation a soft cloud in the cool air, away from the oven's direct heat. You are suspended in this perfect moment of tranquility, a bubble of peace in the heart of the sleeping city. Nothing to do but feel the deep, profound peace of this ancient rhythm, the rhythm of the baker, the rhythm of the night. Finally, it is time. You rise slowly from your stool, your body feeling wonderfully heavy and lethargic. The blade glides through the taut skin of the dough with a nearly silent whisper, a soft fey-hiss fey. The pale surface parts instantly, revealing the intricate, web-like structure of the dough beneath. The cuts, or fey-grignis fey, are not just for decoration. They are a necessary wounding, a way to guide the explosive expansion of the bread in the oven, to allow it to bloom. For a moment, the open cuts look like sleeping mouths, ready to open and sing in the heat. Now for the final journey. You take up the fey-peel fey, the long, flat wooden paddle used to move bread in and out of the deep oven. You dust its surface with a fine layer of semolina, which acts like tiny ball bearings, ensuring the dough will slide off smoothly. With a practiced flick of the wrist, you transfer one of the slashed loaves from its linen bed onto the peel. Then another, and another. You feel the weight of the raw bread, pleasing heft, a promise of the nourishment it holds. A wave of shimmering. The interior of the oven is a cavern of brilliant light, the walls and floor glowing with a fierce orange. White energy, the air inside seems to vibrate with power. You hold your breath for a moment. Then, with a long, smooth, confident motion, you thrust the peel deep into the oven's belly. With a sharp jerk backward, you slide the peel out, now empty, and with a great heave, you swing the heavy iron door shut. It closes with a deep, resonant fey-clang fey, a sound of absolute finality. The wave of heat is cut off instantly. The brilliant light is gone, sealed away, and in that moment, as the echo of the clang fades into the low rumble of the fire, a profound sense of peace settles over you. It is a feeling of completion, of surrender. The work is out of your hands now. The fate of the bread belongs to the fire, to the oven, to the alchemy of heat and time. A wave of fatigue, deep and welcome, washes through you, and with it a quiet, pervasive tranquility. You have done your part. You have mixed and kneaded, shaped, you have brought the bread to the very threshold of its becoming. And now, all you can do is rest. The hard work of the night is over. The sounds of the room reassert themselves, but they seem softer now, more distant. The occasional phatic, fey and fey-grown fey of the cooling metal parts of the oven, the impossibly faint sound of the city sleeping outside your walls, a silence so profound. It has its own weight. Your breathing slows even further, each breath a long, slow tide in and out. Your shoulders are completely relaxed, your hands resting loosely in your lap. You are not asleep, but floating in the serene space just before it, a state of pure, thoughtless awareness. The smell of the baking bread is intensifying now, becoming richer, fuller, more complex. The warmth, the sound, the smell, they all conspire to pull you down. The light from the fire, great still flickers, casting its slow, hypnotic dance of shadows on the wall. But you see it now through heavy, drooping eyelids. The shadows are like dark velvet, soft and deep. The light is like liquid honey, thick and golden. The room is your cocoon, your sanctuary, and you are safe and warm within it, drifting on a slow, gentle current, letting go of the day, letting go of the night, simply floating in the peaceful heart of the world, waiting for the bread to be born. The rumble of the fire is the only thing that matters, a deep and ancient lullaby, pulling you down, down, into the deep, restorative quiet. Your hands are deep within the dough, lost to the wrists in its cool, living mass. The world outside this room, the world of cobbled streets and sleeping houses, has ceased to exist, and all that remains is this singular, grounding sensation. The dough is a universe unto itself, soft and pliable, yet possessing a surprising weight, a dense and promising substance that yields to the pressure of your palms and fingers. You are wearing a simple apron of heavy, undyed cotton, and its surface is dusted with a fine constellation of white flour, a pale ghost of your morning's work that has settled over you like a gentle snowfall. You stand before a vast workbench, a single enormous slab of timber worn smooth by generations of bakers before you. Its surface is scarred with the faint lines of countless cuts and softened by the oils of a million doughs, and it radiates a faint, companionable warmth from the great brick oven that dominates the far wall. The air in this small workshop is thick and sweet, a comforting blanket woven from the sharp, tangy scent of yeast, beginning its slow, magical work, and the deeper, almost caramelized aroma of baking sugars from the oven's residual heat. It is an atmosphere of pure creation, of simple alchemy, and it fills your lungs with every slow, deliberate breath. Outside, the Parisian autumn night is a creature of cold stone and damp air, a deep and biting chill that seeps into the mortar of the city. But in here, in your small, glowing haven, you are the keeper of the flame, the sole custodian of warmth and light. The oven is the heart of this place, its great brick belly already roaring with a low, controlled thunder. You fed it with seasoned oak hours ago, and now the wood has collapsed into a bed of incandescent embers that pulse with a deep, hypnotic rhythm, casting a flickering golden light across the stone floor and up the flour-dusted walls. This light, so warm and alive, dances and sways, making the shadows in the corners of the room deepen and retreat, as if they too are breathing in time with the fire. You shift your weight from one foot to the other, the wooden floorboards giving a low, familiar groan beneath you, a sound as comforting as a friend's sigh. Your entire focus narrows, returning to the task at hand, to the magnificent mound of dough before you. You begin to knead, not with haste, but with a slow, practiced cadence that your body knows better than your mind. You push forward with the heels of your hands, pressing down and away, feeling the dough stretch and lengthen under the pressure. It makes a soft, sticky sound, a satisfying, wet smack against the board, a sound of release. And then you fold it, drawing the far edge back over towards you, trapping the air and your own intention within its core. You give it a quarter turn, the movement economical and sure, and you press down again. Push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. The rhythm is a meditation, a silent prayer spoken through the language of your hands. With each push, you feel the muscles in your shoulders and back engage, a pleasant, warming strain that seems to pull the tiredness from your bones and work it directly into the dough itself. With each fold, what was once a slightly shaggy, sticky collection of flour and water is now becoming a single, cohesive being. It is developing a skin, a smooth, taut surface that feels almost like cool silk beneath your flour-dusted palms. The stickiness recedes, replaced by a supple elasticity, a springy, vibrant life that pushes back against your hands with a gentle insistence. You can feel the gluten developing, the long, intricate chains of protein forming a web that will trap the gases from the yeast and allow the bread to rise, to become light and airy. It feels like you are coaxing a spirit into being, weaving strength and structure into this humble, yielding mass. The sound changes to the wet, a quiet, percussive Faber dump, Baye dump Fay, like a slow and steady heartbeat filling the warm silence of the room. Your eyelids feel heavy, weighted down by the comforting warmth and the repetitive, hypnotic motion. The concept of minutes and hours dissolves in the deep sensory pleasure of the work. There is only the feel of the dough, the warmth of the room, the low hum of the fire, and the steady beat of your own heart. You lift the entire mass, holding its surprising weight in your hands for a moment before slapping it back down onto the board with a deeply satisfying fay-ump faith. The sound echoes slightly in the small space, a declaration of progress. You do this again and again, the impact further developing the structure, aligning the gluten, making the dough stronger, more resilient. It is a strangely soothing violence, a percussive action that releases tension, not only from the dough. After a few more satisfying slaps, you gather the dough into a single, perfect sphere. It sits on the board, smooth and pale in the flickering firelight, looking impossibly alive, as if it is breathing. You dust it lightly with flour from a small earthenware bowl, your fingers leaving pale trails on its surface, and then you cover it with a heavy linen cloth, tucking it in like a sleeping child. Now there is a pause, a moment of quiet anticipation. The first and most strenuous part of your work is done. You turn and lean your back against the edge of the great wooden workbench, crossing your arms over your chest. The warmth of the oven soaks into your back, a deep, penetrating heat that unravels the last knots of tension in your shoulders and spine. You can feel your whole body letting go, your shoulders dropping as you exhale a long, slow breath. Your gaze drifts around the small, familiar space. Everything here is old and worn and trusted. The long wooden peels with their paddle like ends lean against the wall, their handles polished smooth by years of use. Sacks of flour are stacked in the corner, their soft, bulging shapes creating gentle hills and valleys in the deep shadows. A collection of earthenware jars and bowls sits on a high shelf, their glazes catching the firelight in dull, earthy sheens of brown and ochre. Nothing here is sharp or new. Everything speaks of continuity, of a slow and quiet purpose that has existed long before you and will exist long after you. The only source of bright, sharp light is the small, grated opening at the base of the oven, where the fire breathes. You watch the light it casts, a warm amber rectangle on the stone floor, and within that light you can see tiny motes of flour dust drifting and swirling in the air currents. A miniature galaxy in motion, each one a tiny spark in the darkness. It is not an empty silence, but a full one, rich with the low bass rumble of the fire and the almost imperceptible hiss of the dough as it begins its first rise under the cloth. You close your eyes for a moment, just to feel the warmth on your eyelids. The world reduces itself to pure sensation. The heat on your skin, the faint, sweet smell in the air, the solid presence of the workbench against your back, the sturdy floor beneath your feet. It is a feeling of absolute safety, of being in the exact right place, at the exact right time, sheltered from the cold, sleeping world. You are an anchor in the deep, dark ocean of the night. The mound has grown, softened, puffed up with the invisible work of the yeast. It has nearly doubled in size, and when you poke it gently with a floured finger, the indentation springs back slowly, reluctantly. It is ready, with a long, thin metal scraper. The scraper sinks through the dough with a soft, whispery sigh, a clean and satisfying separation. You weigh each piece on a simple brass balance scale, adding or taking away small bits until each one is perfect, ensuring a uniform bake. Then the shaping begins. You take a piece of the divided dough, which feels impossibly light and airy now, full of trapped gas, and you gently flatten it into a rough rectangle, taking care not to press out all the life you have just worked so hard to cultivate. Then, with light fingertips, you begin to roll it, coaxing it into a long, familiar cylinder. The motion is delicate, a gentle persuasion. Your hands move from the center outwards, stretching the dough, tapering the ends, creating the iconic shape of the baguette. You place the shaped loaf onto a special baker's cloth, a heavy flour, dusted linen called a fait couche fait, which is folded into ridges to cradle the loaves and keep them from spreading into one another as they undergo their final proof. You shape another and another. Once all the loaves are shaped and resting in their linen cradles, there is another pause, another period of quiet waiting. This one is shorter, a final breath before the fire. You use the time to prepare the oven, sweeping the hot stone floor with a long-handled brush dipped in water. The water hits the scorching stone and explodes into a cloud of steam with a loud, dramatic hiss that fills the room for a moment before dissipating. This steam is crucial. It is what will give the baguettes their crisp, crackling crust. The wave of moist heat washes over you, warm and cleansing. Now, the final, delicate act before the bake. You take up your fame fay, a small, wickedly sharp blade, set into... This is a tool of precision, almost surgical in its purpose. You hold your breath for a moment, steadying your hand. The cut is shallow, no more than 1/4 of an inch deep, but it opens the pale skin of the dough, revealing the soft web-like structure of the crumb beneath. The edges of the cut curl back slightly, creating what the bakers call an féorail fait, an ear which will catch the heat and bake into a supremely crisp, dark brown ridge. You make 4 more slashes, overlapping them slightly, a signature pattern that is both functional and beautiful. The movement is fluid, graceful, a final artistic flourish on your creation. There is no sound, but the faintest whisper of the blade parting the soft dough. It is an act of immense control and focus. And as you complete the last slash, you feel a deep sense of completion. The air in front of it wavers and distorts, and the heat is so intense, it feels like a physical presence against your face and arms. You pick up the long wooden peel, its surface as smooth as satin and white, with a liberal dusting of flour. With practiced ease, you slide the long, flexible board of the peel under a row of the scored loaves, lifting them from their linen bed. They are delicate now, full of air, and the transfer must be gentle. You peer into its fiery depths, into the heart of the heap. Then, with a movement that is both a push and a flick of the wrists, a motion learned over thousands of repetitions, you slide the loaves from the peel onto the hot stone floor of the oven. They land with a soft, almost inaudible fifth, perfectly placed in the searing heat. You withdraw the peel and immediately slide it under the next set of loaves, repeating the process until the oven floor is filled with pale, scored forms, all waiting for their transformation. And then comes the final, resonant sound of the night's labor. You reach for the oven door, a massive you swing it shut, and it closes with a deep, metallic clang, a sound of finality that echoes in the sudden quiet. The direct, searing heat is gone, contained now within the brick walls. The roar of the fire is muffled, reduced once more to a low, distant rumble. A profound sense of peace washes over you, a quiet satisfaction that is mingled with the deep bone-weary fatigue of your work. The rest is up to the fire and time. The air, which was already warm, now seems to grow even warmer, as the massive brick oven radiates its stored energy into the small space, a dry, penetrating heat that feels like a summer sun. Your shoulders, which you didn't even realize were tensed, finally relax completely. Your arms hang heavy at your sides, tired but satisfied, still humming with the phantom feeling of the dough. You can feel the warmth seeping into your Your breathing is slow and even, and as you stand there, in the quiet, fire-lit dark, a new scent begins to emerge, faint at first, but growing with every passing moment. It is the smell of baking bread. It is different from the raw. It is the scent of starches toasting, of sugars caramelizing, of the crust beginning to form. It is the smell of comfort, of home, of nourishment. It is one of the oldest and most wonderful smells in the world, and it fills the small room, wrapping around you like the warmest, softest blanket. You close your eyes again and just breathe it in. You can almost taste it on your tongue, a nutty, slightly sweet flavor. The scent is a lullaby, a gentle persuasion to let go. Nothing to do but stand here in the warm, fragrant darkness and listen to the muffled heartbeat of the fire, feeling the day's work settle into a deep and profound sense of peace. The world has been reduced to this single, perfect, tranquil moment, and sleep, deep and dreamless, feels as if it is only a breath away. The shadows on the walls sway gently, their edges soft and blurred. The room feels safe, sealed, a pocket of warmth and timeless peace. The heavy iron door grinds shut, its final, definitive clang, echoing for a moment in the sudden quiet of your small workshop. The sound is a full stop at the end of a long and strenuous sentence, a punctuation mark on the intense labor of the last hour. For a long, slow beat, you do not move, your hands still holding the long wooden peel. Slowly lower it until its worn paddle, like end rests with a soft hump against the stone floor. You release the handle, and your arms fall to your sides, feeling impossibly light, almost disconnected from your body. The muscles in your shoulders and back singing with a dull, pleasant ache, a wave of profound tranquility, as warm and enveloping as the heat from the oven itself, washes over you, starting at the crown of your head and melting all the way down to the soles of your flour. The fatigue is immense, a heavy blanket woven from the deep, dark hours before the dawn. But it is a good fatigue, an honest one, earned with your own 2 hands. You take a deep breath, and then another, letting the air fill your lungs completely. It is an atmosphere that exists nowhere else in Paris, nowhere else in the world, but here, in this room. It is thick with the promise of the baking bread, the raw, earthy scent of yeast and grain, already beginning to transform inside the oven's fiery belly. Mingled with it is the sharp, resinous perfume of the pine logs burning down to embers, a clean, wood-smoke scent that catches in the back of your throat. This air is your creation, as much as the loaves now beginning to rise and brown in the dark. It is the incense of your solitary ritual, and as you breathe it in, you feel the tight knot of the day, of the world outside, begin to loosen and unwind. Your shoulders, which were hunched with effort just moments ago, now drop, softening and rounding as you exhale. You stand there in the center of your small kingdom, a domain of stone, wood and fire. The only light comes from the oven itself, not from the sealed door, but from the small square vent near the floor, a tiny window into the inferno. A block of pure incandescent orange light spills from it, casting a long rectangular patch of gold upon the worn flagstones. It is a living light, pulsing in time with the oven's breath, the flames dancing and shifting within. This single steady glow pushes back the shadows, keeping the deep pre-dawn blackness at bay, confined to the farthest corners of the room. It illuminates the fine white dust of flour that hangs in the air like a gentle indoor fog, each tiny particle catching the light for a split second, a swirling galaxy of your own making. You see the deep, inky silhouettes of sacks of flour slumped against the far wall like sleeping giants. You see the faint gleam of copper, a water jug hanging from a hook, its curved surface reflecting a distorted, warped sliver of the oven's fire. Everything is still, everything is quiet, except for the one great, constant sound, the deep, rumbling purr of the fire. Now that the door is closed and the heat is contained, it has settled into a low, resonant hum, a bass note that you feel more than you hear, a vibration that travels through the stone floor and up into your bones, a steady, hypnotic rhythm that is the very heartbeat of your world. Now begins the second act of your nightly ritual, the slow and meditative unwinding. You turn your attention to the great wooden workbench, the altar where you perform your daily magic. It is a vast slab of oak, inches thick, its surface scarred and hollowed by decades, perhaps even a century, of use. It is pale with a heavy blanket of flour and dotted with small, sticky constellations of leftover dough. The work of creation is a messy affair. You reach for your bench scraper, its wooden handle smooth and dark, worn to a perfect fit for your palm. The blade is a simple rectangle of steel, but in your hand it is an instrument of precision. The sound is immensely satisfying, a low, scraping fish-fa-fa, as the blade gathers the loose flour and the stubborn, tacky remnants of dough. You move with a slow, deliberate rhythm, scraping one long, clean path through the white chaos. The motion is smooth, your arm moving from the shoulder, the muscles uncoiling in a long, sweeping gesture. You push the collected debris to the edge of the table, then begin again, overlapping your last path slightly. Shh! F. With each pass, another strip of the true wood is revealed, dark and rich with oil and age. You are not rushing. There is no need. The bread is in the oven. Time is now measured by the slow transformation of heat and dough, and you have this small, quiet eternity to yourself. You work your way across the entire expanse of the board, your movements becoming a kind of trance, a walking meditation. The rhythmic scraping is the only sound that rises above the constant hum of the fire, a gentle counterpoint to the oven's deep thrum. You cup your hands, forming them into a scoop, and guide the soft, heavy pile into a small wooden bin kept just for this purpose. The flour whispers as it falls, a soft cascading sigh. A few stray bits of dough cling to your fingers, and you rub your thumb against them, rolling them into small, dense balls that drop with a faint phatic fey into the bin below. Now, you take a soft bristled brush from its hook on the wall. The bristles are pale and fine, and as you sweep them across the surface of the wood, they make a sound like falling leaves, a dry, rustling fee-swish, swish, swish fee. You chase the last, most stubborn particles of flour from the wood's pores, your wrist flicking with a practiced grace. You work in concentric circles, moving from the outside of the board inward, your mind entirely focused on the simple, repetitive task. The fine dust rises in a small cloud, catching the orange light and shimmering for a moment before settling. The board is clean now, but not finished. You walk to the corner where your copper jug hangs and take it down. It is heavy, filled with cool well water. You carry it back to the workbench and pour a small amount of water onto a thick, folded linen cloth. The cloth is rough, the colour of oatmeal, and it drinks the water greedily. Turning a dark, heavy brown, you wring it out, the cool water trickling through your fingers. A pleasant shock after the dry heat of the oven. The coolness is a welcome sensation, waking your senses, grounding you. You feel the temperature difference on your skin, the cool dampness against your warm, floury palms. It feels clean, restorative. You then begin to wipe down the wooden board. You move in slow, wide circles, the damp cloth gliding over the wood immediately darkens, the water bringing out the deep, intricate patterns of the grain. Walls and lines and knots that were invisible under the pale dust of flour now emerge, a secret map of the tree's long life. The smell of damp wood rises to meet you, a fresh, earthy scent that mingles beautifully with the ever richer aroma of baking bread that is now beginning to seep from the oven. The scent is changing, evolving. The simple, it is the smell of crust forming, a nutty, toasty perfume. It is the smell of sugars caramelizing, a deep, rich sweetness that speaks of golden brown perfection. Your mouth waters. Your work is not just a craft, it is an act of alchemy, and these scents are the proof of the transformation happening just feet away from you, sealed within the brick and iron. You finish wiping the board, its entire surface now a uniform dark, gleaming brown reflecting the oven's glow, like a still, dark pond. You rinse the cloth in a basin, the water turning a milky, cloudy white. As the flour leaves the fibres, you wring it out once more and hang it back on its hook, where it will be dry by the time you need it again. Your station is clean. Order has been restored. The frantic energy of preparation has given way to a quiet, patient stillness. There is nothing left to do now but wait, and listen, and feel. You spy a low, three-legged wooden stool tucked in the corner, its seat worn into a shallow bowl from years of use. You pull it across the stone floor, the legs making a soft scraping sound, and place it a few feet from the oven door. You sink down onto it, a long, slow sigh escaping your lips as the weight leaves your legs. You rest your forearms on your knees, your hands dangling loosely between them. Your head hangs slightly, the muscles in your neck finally letting go. For the first time in hours, your body is completely at rest, supported by the simple stool, bathed in the steady, radiant heat of your creation. The heat is no longer just a background presence. It is the entire world. It is a dry, penetrating warmth that soaks through your clothes, through your skin, and seems to settle deep within your bones, chasing out the last of the autumn night's chill. You can feel it on your face, a pleasant tightness on your cheeks and forehead. You close your eyes. And the darkness behind your eyelids is not black, but a deep, pulsing red. The light from the oven's vent filtering through. Your eyelids feel heavy, so very heavy, as if tiny, smooth stones have been placed upon them. It feels good to let them stay closed. The low, sonorous hum of the fire is the foundation of the silence. It is so constant that it almost becomes silence itself. But if you listen, truly listen, you can hear the smaller sounds within it. You can hear the occasional soft fey crackle, fey and fey pop fey of a log shifting as it burns, settling deeper into its bed of glowing coals. A sudden, brief shower of sparks will fly up the chimney, a fleeting, whispering sound like sand being thrown against glass. And now you can hear a new sound, a sound from inside the oven. It is a faint, almost imperceptible fey crackle fey, the sound of the crusts forming on the long loaves, splitting and expanding under the intense dry heat. It is the sound of bread singing. It is a magical sound, a confirmation that all is well, that the delicate balance of time and temperature is perfect. The aroma is reaching its peak now, a crescendo of scent that fills the small room so completely. It feels tangible, something you could cup in your hands. It is the smell of home, of sustenance, of simple, profound goodness. It is the rich, almost savory smell of the browning crust, a deep, toasty fragrance that speaks of a perfect, crunchy exterior, and beneath that, there is the softer, sweeter, more delicate scent of the crumb, the tender interior, warm and full of air. The combination is intoxicating, a perfume that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to a place of deep, primal comfort. It smells of a job well done. As you breathe it in, you feel your entire body relaxing further, sinking deeper into your state of quiet repose. Your breathing has slowed, deepening into a slow, easy rhythm that seems to match the gentle pulse of the fire. In and out, a slow tide of warm, fragrant air. You shift slightly on your stool, leaning back until your shoulders touch the cool, rough stone of the wall behind you. The intense heat on the front of your body, the solid, grounding coolness on your back. You are held between two ancient forces, fire and stone. You are the still point in the middle. Our mother buying a loaf for her children's breakfast. Our worker tearing off a piece to eat on his way to the docks. You do not know their faces, but you are connected to them, part of the quiet, unseen machinery that allows the city to wake up and live. The thought brings not pressure, but a quiet sense of purpose, of belonging. The orange light from the vent paints a slow, the shadows of the flour sacks tremble and sway. The silhouette of the copper jug is a hard, dark shape against the flickering light. The world has been reduced to these simple, beautiful elements: warmth, light, shadow, and scent. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, no one to answer to. There is only this moment, suspended in time, in the deep, quiet heart of the sleeping city. The hum of the oven it vibrates in your chest, a soothing, steadying presence. Your head feels heavy on your neck, and you let it loll to one side, resting against the cool stone. Your hands, lying open in your lap, are warm and still. The tension has drained from them completely. You are drifting now, floating on a warm, slow, moving river of peace. The boundary between waking and sleeping begins to blur, to soften. The world of the bakery, and now it holds you, keeps you safe, as you allow your heavy eyes to close, and your slow, even breaths to carry you away into the deep, restorative quiet you have so richly earned. The bread is baking. All is well, and you can rest. letting the gentle darkness take you, letting the warm, fragrant air be the last thing you know. As you drift into a deep and dreamless sleep, the heavy iron door of the oven swings shut, its final definitive clang absorbed by the thick stone walls of your small workshop. The sound, a deep and resonant thud, is the period at the end of a long, laborious sentence written in flour and water and fire. For a moment, you remain perfectly still. The click of the latch sliding into place is the only sound that follows, a small metallic punctuation mark in the profound quiet that has now descended. And in that quiet, a wave of feeling, deep and slow and undeniable, rises up from the soles of your feet, through the weary muscles of your legs and back, and settles like a heavy, warm blanket across your shoulders. It is the feeling of a task completed. It is the feeling of fatigue, pure and honest and earned, mingling with a tranquility so complete. It feels almost liquid, washing through you, cleansing you of the day's lingering worries, leaving only the peaceful, hollow ache of good work done. Your shoulders, which had been tensed in concentration, your grip on the peel softens, and you lean it carefully against the wall, the smooth, worn wood of its handle cool against your palm. Your hands, still caked in a fine, drying layer of white flour, feel heavy at your sides. You flex your fingers, watching the faint cracks appear in their powdery coating, a miniature map of arid landscapes drawn across your skin. The air, which only moments ago was alive with the energetic sounds of your work, the rhythmic slap and fold of dough, the sharp zip of the blade scoring the loaves, the scuff of your boots on the stone floor, is now filled with a different kind of life. It is the life of heat and waiting. The great brick oven, now sealed and silent, has taken over. It has become the heart of the room, a slow, powerful heart, its deep internal hum, a vibration you feel more than you hear, a resonant bass note that seems to travel through the stone floor, up into the legs of the wooden stool tucked into the corner. Your eyes, accustomed to the focused work at the bench, now drift around the small space, seeing it anew in this moment of stillness. The world outside the single, grime-kissed window is a void, an abyss of cold, dark stillness that is Paris at 3 in the morning. But in here, in your sanctuary of stone and fire, the world is made of warmth and amber light. The fire's glow, no longer visible directly, escapes through the small cracks and vents of the oven, casting a soft flickering illumination that pushes back the shadows, making them dance in slow, lazy circles on the far walls. It is a light that feels ancient and alive, a light that softens every hard edge, turning the stacks of firewood into sleeping giants and the collection of metal tins and pans into pools of molten gold. Your gaze settles on the massive wooden worktable, the epicenter of your pre-dawn ritual. Its surface, a vast expanse of solid timber, it is covered in a delicate, almost ethereal dusting of flour, a white landscape punctuated by the faint, ghostly outlines of where the baguettes had rested, and the darker, wetter patches where you had worked the dough, your hands pressing and turning again and again. The surface is scored and scarred with 1,000 cuts from countless blades, each mark a memory of a loaf brought into being, a testament to years spent in this very room. Slowly, you move toward the small, 3-legged stool in the corner, your steps feeling heavy, your boots scuffing softly against the scattered flour on the floor, leaving faint trails in the white dust. You sink down onto its worn, concave seat, and a long, slow breath. You didn't realize you were holding escapes your lips in a soft, visible puff. The wood of the stool is familiar and solid beneath you, a humble throne from which to preside over this quiet kingdom of warmth. From this new, lower vantage point, it stands like a great benign altar, its brick face glowing with a gentle internal heat. The soot stains around its iron door like ancient sacred markings. The warmth it radiates is no longer a fierce, direct blast, but a pervasive ambient presence. It is a dry, clean heat that soaks into your clothes, into the thick wool of your trousers, and the coarse linen of your apron, and deeper still into your tired muscles, coaxing the tension from your neck and back, inviting a profound and heavy sense of relaxation to take its place. Your eyelids begin to feel heavy, the little muscles around them letting go, and you allow them to drift partially closed, the world softening into a blur of warm tones and gentle light. You lean back, the wall behind you cool and solid against your shoulders, and you just listen. You listen to the voice of the oven. It is not a loud voice, but a deep and constant one, a low, thrumming hum that is the sound of combustion made gentle, of powerful energy contained and controlled. It is the sound of dry wood slowly, inexorably turning to ash and heat, a process as old as time itself. Within that deep hum, you can discern other small... There is the occasional soft crackle, a pocket of sap in a log finally giving way. There is the whisper, faint hiss of the air being drawn through a vent, feeding the slow, steady fire within. And as you listen, you feel your own breathing begin to slow, to unconsciously fall into rhythm with that deep, steady pulse of the oven. Each inhale slow and deep, each exhale a long, quiet release. In and out. The air fills your lungs, thick with the comforting, clean scent of the heat, and you let it go. And with it, you let go of everything else. The initial sharp and yeasty aroma of the raw, fermenting dough, a smell that is tangy and alive and full of potential, is slowly, gradually being overlaid with something new. It is a richer, deeper, and infinitely more comforting scent. It is the smell of baking. At first, it is subtle, a faint, sweet note that teases the edge of your senses, the scent of the sugars in the flour, just beginning to caramelize under the intense, dry heat. It is a delicate perfume, almost like honey, that weaves itself into the heavier, earthier smell of the wood smoke, and the ever-present, dusty scent of raw flour. You breathe it in, letting it fill your head, and it feels like you are inhaling warmth itself. It is a smell that speaks of comfort, of nourishment, of home. It is the smell that will soon spill out into the cold morning street, a fragrant promise to the waking city, a beacon for the hungry and the early risers. But for now, they are old and dark, worn smooth by generations of bakers. The gaps between them are filled with the compacted flour of decades, a pale mortar that traces the lines of the room. In the soft, flickering light, the fine layer of fresh flour dust that covers everything seems to shimmer, to move with the imperceptible currents of air. Like a field of fine, white snow, you watch a single, larger flake of dried dough, curled and delicate, as it is nudged by a draught you cannot feel, tumbling end over end in a slow, silent journey across the floor. A tiny, solitary traveller in this quiet, sleeping world. Your focus narrows, the vastness of the room receding, until your entire universe is this small, insignificant journey, this miniature drama playing out on the dusty stage of the floor. And in watching it, your mind empties of all other thoughts, all plans for the morning, all memories of the day before. There is only the here and now. There is only the warmth. There is only the gentle, changing scent in the air, and the deep, resonant hum that vibrates through the very foundations of the building. The heat from the oven continues its gentle work, not just on the bread, but on you. You feel it as a pleasant weight on your eyelids, a soothing pressure that makes you want to close them completely. You feel it in your hands, which you have now rested on your knees, the warmth seeping into your palms, loosening the last vestiges of tightness in your knuckles and wrists. The ache in your forearms and shoulders, a reminder of the hours of kneading, has transformed from a sharp, working pain into a dull, pleasant throb, a physical echo of your effort that is now fading into a feeling of deep, bodily peace. You are a ship that has come into a safe and quiet harbour after a long voyage. Your sails lowered, your anchor dropped, now simply rocking gently on the placid water. Content to be still, content to be held. The silence of the pre-dawn city outside is immense, a stark contrast to the vibrant, living warmth of your small haven. The distant, lonely clatter of a single horse's hooves on the cobblestones, impossibly clear in the stillness, comes and goes like a passing thought. The mournful creak of a distant shutter, pushed by a wind that cannot touch you here. These sounds are not intrusions. They are reminders of your seclusion, of your safety. They highlight the depth of the peace you inhabit, throwing the warmth and quiet of your bakery into sharper, more comforting relief. You are an island of light and heat in a vast, cold, sleeping ocean. The aroma of the baking bread is growing stronger now, blooming in the warm air, becoming more complex and defined. The initial sweet note has been joined by a deeper, toastier fragrance, the smell of the crust beginning to form, to harden and turn a beautiful golden brown. It is a wholesome, nutty smell. It conjures images of sun-drenched wheat fields, of harvest and abundance. It is a smell so deeply comforting, so fundamentally good, that it seems to bypass your mind and speak directly to a more ancient part of your being, a part that understands sustenance and hearth and safety on a primal level. You close your eyes fully now, letting the darkness behind your eyelids be a soft, velvety curtain. With your vision gone, your other senses expand to fill the space. The hum of the oven seems to grow louder, its vibrations more pronounced. It is a thick, delicious cloud that you float within, a tangible presence in the room. Your mind begins to drift, untethered from the anchor of conscious thought. Images and feelings float by, soft and indistinct, like clouds on a summer day. You think of the dough, of its incredible living texture beneath your hands. You remember the feeling of its cool, silken surface, the slight resistance it offered, the satisfying, wet sound it made as you folded it over on itself. You recall the weight of it, its dense, promising heft. The memory is so vivid you can almost feel it now. And then your thoughts drift to the fire, to the memory of the bright, dancing flames you watched earlier as you fed the logs into the oven's mouth. You remember the way the light flickered, casting long, dramatic shadows, the way the heat washed over your face, the sharp, clean scent of the burning wood, fire and water, flour and salt. The four simple elements of your world, combined through your patient effort to create this moment of profound peace, to create this smell that now fills your entire world. The stool beneath you, the cool wall at your back, the solid floor under your feet. They are all anchors, holding you gently in place as your consciousness begins to float. Your body feels wonderfully, incredibly heavy, as if it is sinking slowly into the warm, fragrant air. Your arms and legs are weighted with a pleasant, leaden feeling of deep relaxation. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. You allow the stillness to seep into you, to fill all the empty spaces within you, until your own inner world is as quiet and as peaceful as the room you are sitting in. Your breath is now so slow, so shallow. You are barely aware of it. It is just a soft automatic rhythm, a gentle tide rising and falling in the deep, quiet ocean of your being. The scent of the baking bread has reached its peak. It is a rich, complex tapestry of aromas. There is the deep roasted scent of the crust, almost like coffee. a dark and satisfying note. There is the sweeter, softer smell of the crumb inside, moist and airy and full of the flavour of fermented grain. There is even a faint, tangy undertone from the yeast, a reminder of the life that pulsed within the dough. It is a smell that tells a story, the story of a long night's work reaching its glorious conclusion. It is the smell of success, of alchemy, of simple ingredients transformed into gold. And as you sit there, enveloped in this perfect aroma, you feel a sense of contentment so pure and so profound that it borders on joy. It is a quiet joy, a humble joy, but it is real and it fills you from the inside out, a gentle, glowing warmth that mirrors the heat of the oven. The shadows on the wall, cast by the faint light escaping the oven, have become your companions in this vigil. They are no longer just absences of light, but soft grey shapes with a life of their own. They shift and tremble with the faintest flicker of the fire within, breathing in a slow, silent rhythm. Moan shadow, cast by the stack of firewood, looks like a slumbering mountain range. Another, thrown by the handle of the peel leaning against the wall, is a long, thin line that stretches across the floor, like a quiet river flowing through a dusty valley. You watch them without really seeing them, your focus soft and unfixed. They are just a part of the gentle, moving tapestry of the room, a visual manifestation of the deep, slow pulse that animates this space. The world has been reduced to these simple, elemental things: the deep hum, the pervasive warmth, the intoxicating smell, the gentle dance of shadow and faint light. There is nothing else, and there is nothing else you need. Your thoughts have dissolved almost completely now, replaced by a state of pure sensation, a dreamlike awareness. The boundary between you and the room is blurring. The warmth from the oven is your warmth. The deep hum is your heartbeat. The scent of the bread is your breath. You are not a baker sitting in a room. You are a part of the room itself, an integral piece of this small, warm, sleeping universe. You feel the slow passage of time not as a series of moments, but as a gradual deepening of the stillness, a slow thickening of the peace. The night outside presses against the window pane, a cold, dark, and distant memory, a world you have left far behind. Here, there is only this extended, perfect present, this state of being that is held in the warm, fragrant air, like a note of music held until it fades into silence. The muscles in your face are completely slack. Your jaw is loose. Your brow is smooth. A feeling of immense gratitude washes over you, a gratitude for this simple place, for this honest work, for this profound and uncomplicated peace. It is a feeling that requires no words, no thoughts. It is just a gentle swelling sensation in your chest, a quiet acknowledgement of the rightness of this moment. The bread is baking, the world is sleeping, and you are at rest, deeply, completely, and perfectly at rest. The subtle vibrations from the oven floor travel up through your body, a gentle, continuous massage, a physical lullaby that is coaxing you further and further down into a state of deep, dreamless slumber. Your mind is a calm, still lake, its surface reflecting only the soft amber glow of the firelight. There are no ripples, no disturbances, just a vast, quiet expanse of peace. You are drifting now, drifting on that calm, warm lake, letting the gentle currents carry you wherever they may lead, knowing that you are safe, that you are warm, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The journey of the night is almost over, and soon a new day will dawn. That now there is only this. There is nothing left for you to do now, nothing to solve, nothing to hold. There is only this space. Take a slow, deep breath in, And as you exhale, feel a wave of calm wash over you, from the top of your head. Tonight, we will not be traveling far in space, but very far in time. We are drifting back through the years, back through the turning of the seasons, to a single specific moment of profound quiet. The year is 1780. The season is late autumn. We are in Paris, but not the Paris of grand boulevards and bustling crowds. This is a sleeping city, a city steeped in the cold, inky blackness of 3 o'clock in the morning. You find yourself standing on a cobblestone street corner, the stones slick with a damp, cold mist that hangs heavy in the air. The silence is immense, broken only by the distant, lonely echo of your own imagined footsteps. The tall, narrow houses on either side of the lane are dark and silent, their windows like vacant eyes staring into the night. A cold breeze whispers down the alleyways, carrying the faint, damp smell of the nearby river and the even fainter scent of cold stone and wet leaves. It is a lonely, desolate hour, a time when the entire world seems to be holding its breath. But you are not cold. You are not lost, because here, on this corner, is a small miracle, a single point of light and warmth. In the vast, sleeping dark, it is a bakery. It is a beacon of life in the stillness of the night, a promise of comfort, a silent invitation to come in from the cold. As you push open the heavy wooden door, the contrast is immediate and absolute. A wave of profound warmth washes over you, chasing the chill from your bones in an instant. The air inside is thick, not with smoke, but with a living, breathing heat that radiates from the heart of the room. The door closes behind you with a soft, solid fee-third-fay, and the immense silence of the city is replaced by a new kind of quiet, a quiet that is alive. It is the deep, rumbling hum of a fire, a sound you feel as much as you hear, a steady bass, heavy thrum that vibrates gently through the wooden floorboards and up into the soles of your feet. You are home. There is only this room. The heart of the room, and the source of its life, is the massive brick oven built into the far wall. Its heavy iron door is closed, but a deep, mesmerizing orange glow seeps from around its edges, painting flickering patterns on the stone floor. This is not a frantic, crackling fire. It is a mature, settled fire, built hours ago from seasoned oak, and now burning with a deep, resonant power. It hums with a low, steady roar, a sound like a sleeping giant's breath, and it has baked the very air in this small workshop until it is as warm and comforting as a woolen blanket. The air itself is a symphony of the most reassuring scents imaginable. The dominant note is the clean, wholesome, slightly sour aroma of fermenting dough, a smell that speaks of patience and life and slow transformation. Woven through it is the sharp, resinous perfume of the burning oak wood, a scent of forests and hearths. And beneath it all, lingering from the last bake of the previous day, is a faint, ghostly sweetness, a hint of caramelized sugar and toasted crust that hangs in the rafters like a pleasant memory. Your eyes drift around the small space, illuminated by the oven's glow and a single, flickering tallow candle on a small wooden crate. The light is soft, casting long, dancing shadows that make the familiar room feel magical and secret. You see the tall, leaning sacks of flour, their tops rolled down, standing like silent, soft sentinels against the wall. You see the long, wooden peels with their paddle, like heads resting beside the oven, waiting patiently for their turn. And you see the centerpiece of your work, the kneading trough, a massive waste, high table made from a single thick slab of wood, worn smooth and pale from generations of use. Its surface is dusted with a fine white powder, a constellation of flour under the soft golden light. You are wearing a simple, heavy canvas apron, already bearing the white handprints and smudges of your craft. It feels familiar and right. In a large earthenware bowl rests a magnificent mound of dough, alive and breathing. It has been proofing for hours, and it has swelled to fill the bowl, its surface smooth and domed, trembling ever so slightly with the captured energy of the yeast within. You breathe in its clean, tangy scent, a smell that is the promise of all the bread to come. You dust your hands with flour from a small wooden bowl, the powder fine and cool against your skin, and then you plunge your hands into the dough. The sensation is extraordinary. The dough is cool, but not cold. It is impossibly soft. Your fingers sink deep into its smooth, elastic mass, and as you begin to work, the sounds of your labor join the soft hum of the oven. You lift the dough, and it stretches, clinging to the bowl in long, glutinous strands, before releasing with a soft, wet, sticky sound. You turn it out onto the floured board, and it lands with a gentle, satisfying fey-wump-fey, a soft exhalation of air. Now begins the rhythm, the ancient dance of the baker. You fold the dough over on itself and press down with the heels of your hands. There is a soft, squelching sound, a deeply satisfying, viscous noise as the air is pushed from the pockets within. Thump, squelch, asterisk. You push the mass away from you, stretching it, and then you fold it back, turning it a quarter turn, and again push, fold. Turn your shoulders and arms engage in the work. The dough resists you just enough to feel substantial, and then yields completely. It is a conversation without words, a physical dialogue between your strength and its supple elasticity. Thump, squelch, asterisk. The sound is muffled, absorbent, hypnotic. Fet hump, squelch, asterisk. With each knead, the dough becomes smoother, silkier. The initial stickiness gives way to You can feel the network of gluten developing under your palms, the structure of the bread being born from this soft, living clay. Your hands are covered in a thin, drying layer of flour and dough, and it feels like a second skin. The warmth of your own body is transferring into the dough, and the warmth of the room envelops you both. The world outside the bakery has ceased to exist. Your entire universe is this pool of golden light, the steady hum of the oven, the rhythmic pressure of your hands, and the yielding softness of the dough. Your breathing has fallen into sync with your work. A slow inhale as you lift and fold, a steady exhale as you press and push. Your mind, once perhaps full of the day's lingering thoughts, is now empty. It is focused only on the feeling of the dough beneath your hands, the subtle changes in its texture, its growing life and strength. This is not work, it is a meditation. It is a grounding force. After what feels like both an eternity and no time at all, the dough is ready. It is perfectly smooth, a taut, pale sphere that springs back gently when you press a finger into its surface. You gather it into a single, beautiful mound, and for a moment, you just look at it, a perfect creation resting on the flour, dusted board, the quiet satisfaction. Now you move with the same unhurried grace. You take a metal scraper, its edge worn and thin, and you press it firmly through the center of the dough. It parts with a soft, sighing sound, revealing the beautiful web-like interior, a honeycomb of air and structure. You divide the large mass into smaller, more manageable pieces, each one a future loaf. You take the first piece. You gently flatten it into a rough rectangle, and then, with practiced fingers, you begin to roll it, creating a tension on the surface of the dough. You roll it toward you, sealing the seam with the heel of your hand. Then you begin to roll it out, your palms flat, moving from the center to the ends. The dough lengthens under your hands, transforming from a lump into the long, elegant, tapered shape of a baguette. You are not forcing it, you are coaxing it, persuading it into its final form. You place the finished loaf on a long piece of linen cloth, a baker's couche, which has been generously dusted with flour. You create a fold in the cloth to keep the loaf separate from its neighbor, and you begin the next one. The process repeats. Flatten, roll, seal, lengthen. The repetition is lulling, your hands knowing the movements so well they could perform them in your sleep. The warmth of the room, the steady hum of the fire, the gentle, repetitive task, it all conspires to pull you toward a state of deep, peaceful calm. Once all the loaves are shaped and resting in their linen cradle, this waiting is not anxious. The fire in the oven continues its deep, steady song. The light from its glowing edges makes the shadows of the flour sacks tremble and sway on the stone walls. You notice, for the first time tonight, the fine, almost invisible haze of flour that hangs in the air. In the beam of light from the candle, the tiny particles drift and swirl like a miniature galaxy, each one a tiny, sparkling star. It is beautiful. You watch them, mesmerized by their slow, aimless dance. The world beyond is a complete blur, a watercolor painting of dark blues and blacks. You are utterly sealed in. Nothing can reach you here. No sound, no worry, no cold. This little room is your entire world, a pocket of warmth and light, insulated from the sleeping city. It is not a harsh, scorching heat, but a deep, penetrating warmth that soaks into your skin, into your very bones. It is a comforting, parental warmth. You close your eyes for a moment and just feel it. You feel the soft vibration of the floor, the warmth on your skin, and the heavy, peaceful weight of your own body. Your breathing is slow, and even now, the smell in the air is beginning to change again. The sharp, yeasty scent of the raw dough is mellowing, and a new fragrance is just beginning to emerge from the oven. It is faint, but it is there, a promise whispered on the warm air. Time passes. The dough rests, the fire burns, the flour dust dances. The fatigue from your early start has transformed into a pleasant, heavy languor. They have risen again, grown soft and puffy in the warm air. This is the final touch, the artist's signature. With a steady hand and a quick, decisive motion, you draw the blade across the surface of the first loaf. Face slice. Asterisk the taut skin of the dough parts effortlessly, opening up to reveal the soft, pale interior. You make 3 or 4 diagonal slashes, each one a swift, elegant gesture. The cuts, or faigrignis fait, will allow the steam to escape and the loaf to expand beautifully in the oven's heat, creating the signature crust of the baguette. You repeat this for each loaf, a series of quick, quiet, focused movements. Now, the final act. You take up one of the long wooden peels, its surface smooth as silk. You gently slide the scored loaves from their linen couche onto the peel, arranging them in a neat row. You take a deep breath, the air thick with the promise of what is to come. You walk to the oven and with a gloved hand, you grasp the heavy iron handle of the door. You pull it open. A wave of dry, searing heat rushes out, and the light from within floods the room, momentarily banishing all shadows. The inside of the oven is a cavern of brilliant, incandescent orange and white. The bricks glow with stored heat, and the embers on the floor pulse with a fierce inner light. The roar of the fire is louder now, a living, breathing dragon with a smooth, practiced motion. And then, with a deep, resonant fei-clang fei, you swing the heavy iron door shut. Silence. The roar of the fire is instantly muffled, returning to its deep, distant hum. The brilliant light is gone, and the room returns to its soft, shadowy intimacy. A profound sense of peace settles over you. The loaves are now in the hands of the fire, and there is nothing left for you to do but wait. You do not move. You remain standing before the sealed oven, feeling the residual heat on your face and hands. The fatigue held at bay by the focus of your work now washes over you in a great, gentle wave. Your shoulders, which you thought were relaxed, drop even further. The muscles in your neck and back soften completely. You lean your entire weight against the warm brick of the oven's facade, and it holds you, supports you. Your eyelids are so very heavy now, as if dusted with a fine, invisible powder of sleep. You let them close, and in the darkness behind your eyes, the image of the glowing embers remains, a soft, pulsing memory of light. You focus on the sounds, the deep, rumbling heartbeat of the oven. It is the only sound in the universe, a slow, steady, rhythmic thrum that seems to sync with your own slowing pulse. Fei hum asterisk. It is the sound of warmth, the sound of safety, the sound of transformation. Your breathing is deep and slow, a gentle tide rising and falling in the stillness of the room. With every breath you inhale, you draw in the changing scent of the air. The smell of baking bread is growing stronger now, blooming in the warmth. It is no longer a faint promise, but a rich, complex reality. It is the most comforting smell in the world, and it fills your senses, a thick, warm blanket of scent that seems to press you gently down into a state of deep, deep relaxation. You feel a profound stillness settle not just on the room, but within you. The boundary between you and the bakery begins to blur. The warmth of the oven is your warmth. The steady, humming rhythm of the fire is your rhythm. The flour dust that still hangs in the air is the dust of your own dreams. The heavy, pleasant weight of your arms at your sides. The soft, muffled hum that vibrates through the floor. The glorious, all-encompassing scent of fresh bread being born in the fire. The shadows in the room have stopped their dance. The room is held in a perfect, timeless amber. Nothing will change here for a while. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be. Just this moment of absolute peace. This perfect sanctuary of warmth and quiet. The night outside is still deep and cold, but it cannot touch you. You are insulated by thick stone walls. By the heat of you are drifting now. The hum of the oven is a lullaby, a deep, ancient song pulling you further and further down into a place of perfect rest. Let the warmth envelop you. Let the quiet hold you. Let the comforting scent of the baking bread be your final waking thought. There is only peace here. There is only the deep, dreamless sleep that awaits you.